turn, turn, get the racket back, beat the bounce. These are all common phrases that I hear most days as a tennis coach. Turn is a classic one. The players turn so much they could be turning around in circles. Coaches will use these phrases to work on preparation. Now, as a tennis coach, we fully understand that players need to prepare as soon as possible. In today's video, I'm going to share with you why shouting commands at the players is not very good coaching. And I'm going to show you 5 actionable things that you can take within your coaching today to improve your players' preparation in a very simple and easy way. So, I've done this lesson a million times before. I look at my player, they're not moving before the ball bounces. The ball bounces, they get jammed up, and I'm saying, you need to get the racket back a little bit earlier. You need to take the racket back before the bounce. You might have to turn your shoulders because you want the swing long. And what I tend to do is just throw the ball to the player and then say, turn, turn, racket back now. I would tell the player when to move. The issue of that is when you play a match, you don't have someone shouting down the other end going, turn, now, racket back, beat the bounce. So we're taking away the perception element of tennis. And tennis is all about perception and action. Perception, action, coupling. Again, I don't understand why this isn't talked about more within coach education, coach development, or even between coaches themselves. Most coaches have no clue what perception action is or what the perception action coupling is. So the perception action coupling is how the body moves. The body will react to the world around it and it moves in the most efficient and economical way as possible. Great way to think about it is walking. Generally speaking, most of us can walk, and we would walk based on the environment around us. If I'm walking on a flat surface, I'll walk in a very specific way. If that surface then changed to steps, I would change my movement. If I then walked uphill, downhill, uneven ground, I would adjust and change how I move based on the environment around me. I don't think about it. My body just adapts to what it's in front of it, and it's trying to move through the world in the most efficient way. When we play tennis, it's the same. If anything, it's more difficult when we play tennis because the tennis environment is constantly changing. We probably have between a second, 1.5 seconds between touches of the ball. The ball's going to come in multiple different ways. Our opponent is moving, we are moving, the world around us is moving. And believe it or not, our body isn't that clever. We can't just transfer a command from the brain into the body and think, okay, well, if I practice this enough, muscle memory, I will know how to move. So by constantly shouting to the player, turn, and telling them when to move, we're taking away the perception element. So what tends to happen, the player will start to get better at the activity because the coach is telling them when to move. When you go into a more open dynamic situation, like a rally or a match towards the end of the lesson, it's going to disappear. The player's going to be late. They're going to end up pushing or jabbing the ball back as well. They're not going to turn their shoulders because they've not developed the skill of reading the situation and then combining the action, the movement, the turning to the perception. That's why you can't decouple perception action. So that's a huge issue in tennis because we will react to the world around us. We know tennis is a dynamic game. Every shot we hit is different. Every opponent we play is different. Our opponent will also change and adapt during the course of a match as well. So as a tennis coach, we have to teach our players how to move. And the first thing we really have to talk about is the perception action. So here are 5 ways in which you can develop the perception action coupling. Play more games. Play more games that really require the player to read the situation, become more attuned with their environment. And I'll leave a link up on the screen now to one of my books. There's about 50 games in there. It says under 8 tennis, but you can use them with any age and stage. And they're games that really develop not only the action, the technique, but the perception element as well. And it's done in a coupled way. We need to stop isolating and breaking technique down. We need to make sure that when we're working with players and we're developing the players, we are developing their perception and action at the same time. Number 2, we have to teach our players how to scan. We have to teach our players how to read the environments. Now, within a lot of coach education, they'll talk about the ball characteristics: ready, read, react, racket, recover. The 5 R's. It's been around for many, many years. The issue is it just teaches players to read the ball. But like we said at the very start of the video, players need to read their opponent's position, opponent's body language. their own position on the court. They also have to read things like the environment, the wind, the sun, the court surface they're playing on, the type of ball they're playing with. So teach our players to scan, and you can do this in lots of different ways. And one very clever way is when a player hits a really good shot, just say to them, what made you hit that shot? What influenced you? What did you see in the environment that helped you make that decision? Was it your position? Was it your opponent's position? Was it just a feeling? Did you just feel comfortable? When they make mistakes or make errors, again, what influenced you to make that decision? What influenced you in the environment? Again, opponent's position, your position. Teach your players how to scan. There's lots of videos on this channel with me coaching. If you look at the coach webinars, I talk with my players about this an awful lot. A lot of my communication with the players is not about me telling them how to improve. It's asking them what do they see, what influenced their decisions, and hopefully my job and your job as a tennis coach is try and get them to make more informed and better decisions more often. Number 3, use constraints. So tennis is highly variable. It's very chaotic. There's so much going on. I always compare it to the all-you-can-eat buffet. You go to an all-you-can-eat buffet and there's too much choices and you end up just sort of picking everything and it becomes a bit of a mess and you don't really enjoy it because certain things don't mix very well. You don't make good choices because there's so many options. Tennis is a little bit like that at times as well. And as a coach, what we want to do is maybe reduce the variability, reduce the affordances, or make certain affordances look more attractive. So again, we understand that if you're pushed all the way back in a deep position, it's going to be very difficult to attack or hit down a line in that situation. So could you manipulate a practice that's going to encourage a player to go cross court and play safely in that position? Again, you've got to think more about your practice designs of how can I manipulate a practice where the player can learn these things for themselves without me making it too constrained. And people say, oh yeah, but I use constraint-led coaching a lot already. And I just get my players to go one cross, one line. That's not constraint-led coaching. That's just isolated coaching with an extra choice. Again, we want the players to have lots of opportunities and to look for affordances, opportunities themselves. Number 4, perception action coupling. Go and do some research on what the perception action coupling is and why it's so important. As humans, you're using perception and action coupling right now. You're going to use it throughout the day. Again, we don't understand it enough as a coach. Tennis is a receiving and sending game. We have to read the environment more. As a coach, you need that knowledge and understanding of how we can get our players to be more aware of their environment and how their environment affects their actions. And number 5, use video. Now, don't use it for technical analysis. When I use video of my players, I will show them clips of them playing points, and I'll just ask them a very simple question. Why did you make that decision in that moment? What did you see? And it's great for the player because, one, they'll tell me, or hopefully feedback to me, why they made the choice. But then I can say to them, can you see anything different? And then I can start to then help them look for other things. Maybe look at their opponent's body position. Maybe look at their opponent's stance. Maybe look at their position on the court. Getting them to look deeper into the environment, using that scanning, think about the perception action coupling as well. And there you have it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Slightly little different video today. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like. And as always, share and subscribe. If you are interested in the perception action coupling, please watch the video next where I go into much more detail inside a coach education webinar filmed at a coaching conference. Hope you enjoy it, and until next time, I'll see you soon.